symbols used in Jacobite poetry. So the snake, for example, is obviously King George, and Christ, of course, is Barney Prince Charlie. The wonderful gift is the recovery of the Stuart throne.
So if you and I were Jacobites, we might say, we hate the snake, and we would know what we meant.
That's it, and we know that because, of course, we have a Jacobite picture here. This is an absolutely exquisite portrait of Bonnie Prince Charlie.
And it says C.R., like Charles is king.
Precisely.
So now we know that about Wade. He's clearly using secret Jacobite images in his other book. What does that tell us about Modeste Fidelis?
In and of itself, Freeman's is an extraordinary style. When evidence comes, whether it takes on completely different hues, Bethlehem is England, the faithful or Jacobites. And Regiment Ireland,
That's the king of the angels.
King of the Angels, is a very ancient theme, which in fact
And George Whitfield was another leading Methodist. At this church in North London, he spread their message through word and song, and Wesley's hymn was in his repertoire.
George Whitfield would go on to do something rather daring to his friends' words. 20 years after Wesley wrote them, Whitfield thought, hang on, we can do better than this. This word welcome is an old word for the sky, the heavens, but Whitfield thought that the song ought to begin with the Methodists' favourite activity of singing. So he changed "Hark how all the welkin rings" to "Hark the herald angels sing."
The new version of the words is the one that stuck. But once again, the tune came later. 100 years later, when the composer Felix Mendelssohn met an English choir boy, William Cummings. Alexandra, can you tell me the story of William Cummings?
We know he came to London as a child with his parents, and he was obviously very musically talented from an early age. He was a chorister at St Paul's Cathedral. So the next important chapter is 1847. He's just 15 years old, and he sings in a historic performance of Elijah. This was the first ever London performance of Mendelssohn's great oratorio. And he was so enthusiastic, apparently, that Mendelssohn, who was conducting, was really struck by this young man and actually gave him his business card before he left. It was quite a formative moment for the young man, and he seems to have actively pursued every opportunity to get a new score by Mendelssohn whenever they were published.
Cummings later became the organist here at Waltham Abbey. One day, while playing through a Mendelssohn piece called Festgesang, he had a brainwave.
There's an article in the Musical Times about this historic moment. While playing over the chorus in G's, that's the chorus from the Mendelssohn Festgesang, he was at once struck by its adaptability to the words "Hark the herald angels sing." He copied out the parts, and the tune was sung with great enthusiasm by the congregation at Waltham Abbey.
In this very church?
In this church on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's just perfect. Hark the Herald was too good to resist. In 1861, the Church of England published it in Hymns Ancient and Modern. The floodgates had opened to Christmas carols with words which weren't from the Bible. A magical blend of pagan and religious words and music were now welcomed into church.
Actually, there's a wonderful anarchy to Christmas carols. These are sort of grassroots musical gestures. They're written in the fields and the streets and the pubs, and they're brought into the church. The words were actually written 100 years earlier, and the music only came along in a different country, a different century, to be brought together by a third man. Is a wonderful illustration, I suppose, of the chants involved in the best carols.
They're like mongrels of music, are they? There's something quite fresh and zingy and exciting about them.
Yeah, this is not music that we've been forced to sing. This is music that we wanted to sing so badly that the church was forced to bring it inside, to put its own stamp on it.
So let us sing it, in fact.
Absolutely.
In the 19th century, Queen Victoria and her beloved Albert helped create a new image of Christmas as a time for family, home, and hearth. They also inspired the fashion for Christmas trees. And a world-famous Christmas carol started out as a simple little poem in a magazine. In 1871, the editor of a New York magazine asked an English poet in London to write a poem for Christmas. Her name was Christina Rossetti. She wanted to write something really special, but she was seriously ill. She was in a bad way. She'd previously suffered from what we might call depression, and now she had a really horrible thyroid problem. She kept fainting and having headaches. Her brother said that she was in a deplorable condition. But even so, she really wanted to fulfill this request, and she sent to Scribner's magazine a little poem. They paid her £10 for it. She called her work A Christmas Carol, and you probably know how it goes. But Rossetti's poem wasn't ready to be transformed into this beautiful Christmas carol just yet. Perhaps it was a bit out of step with the whole idea of Victorian Christmas, as recently reinvented by Charles Dickens. That was much more about festive family fun. Maybe Rossetti's work was too reflective to become really popular. What kind of a person would you say Rossetti was?
I would say Rossetti's a very wintry person. She had a very cold, very reserved exterior.
Was she born that way, or did life deal her a tough hand?
I think probably both. She had some sad events in her life. I think she's the sort of person who thought very deeply about life and the human condition. And anyone who thinks deeply about the human condition on a daily basis is bound to wind up, a bit melancholy.
Can you explain some of the techniques that she uses to build the very special atmosphere of the poem?
Well, she uses monosyllabic words, moan and stone, and then snow, and this creates a sense of monotony and fallenness.
And the snow, it does fall on snow, doesn't it?
It gives you a sense of that humility.